Why small businesses undercharge and what it costs them. A lot of small businesses undercharge without fully realizing what it is costing them. They think lower prices help them stay competitive, win work more easily, and keep customers interested. And on the surface, that can feel sensible. If you charge less, surely you make it easier for someone to say yes. But underpricing usually does much more damage than people admit. It tightens cash flow, it weakens confidence, it attracts the wrong kind of pressure, and it often makes the whole business more fragile than it needs to be. So in this video, I want to look at why small businesses undercharge, why it feels safer than it really is, and what that decision quietly does to the health of the business. One reason small businesses undercharge is simple: fear. They worry that if they price properly, the customer will disappear. They assume the buyer is more price sensitive than they may actually be, and they often make the mistake of trying to remove all friction from the buying decision by being cheaper. That feels like caution. But in many cases, it is not caution. It is insecurity dressed up as competitiveness. Another reason is that many owners are not fully settled in their own mind about what their work is worth. They know how hard they work. They know how much thought goes into what they do, but they are not always clear about how to express the value of it commercially. So price becomes the easiest lever to pull. Instead of sharpening the offer, clarifying the value, or improving the positioning, they lower the number and hope that helps. And sometimes it does help in the short term, but it often weakens things in the longer term. One of the biggest mistakes here is confusing cheap with competitive. Cheap is not automatically competitive. In fact, low pricing can attract the wrong sort of pressure. It can attract customers who focus heavily on price and then still expect the earth. It can create tighter margins, less room for error, and less resilience when something goes wrong. And it can quietly signal uncertainty, because price is not just arithmetic. It is also communication. It tells the market something. It suggests where you see yourself. It suggests how you want to be compared. It shapes expectations before the work has even begun. That is why underpricing affects more than the money. It affects the whole feel of the business. A business that constantly prices from fear tends to become tense. It starts tolerating work that is not especially rewarding. It starts feeling pressure sooner. It has less room to absorb delays, revisions, awkward customers, or a quieter month. And over time, the owner often feels frustrated because they are working hard without the business feeling properly solid. That frustration matters, because when effort keeps outrunning reward, small business owners often become more reactive. They start second-guessing. They become hesitant. They start wondering whether the problem is marketing, sales, luck, the economy, or the customer. Sometimes those things matter, but sometimes the quieter truth is that the business has been weakened by underpricing for a long time. And once that happens, pricing is no longer just a number on a quote. It becomes part of a wider commercial pattern. It affects confidence, it affects cash flow, it affects reputation, it affects what kinds of customers you attract, and it affects how much energy the business has left after doing the work. So what is the better way to think about it? In my view, the first step is to stop treating price as a panic lever. If every time things feel uncertain, the answer is to lower the price, then price is no longer being used strategically, it is being used emotionally. That usually leads to weak decisions. A better approach is to ask clearer questions. What benefit does the customer believe they are getting? What makes this offer worth choosing? What would make the work commercially worthwhile for the business, not just technically possible? And how do price, value, and desirability fit together, rather than being treated as separate things? That is a much healthier line of thought. Because the aim is not just to charge more for the sake of it. The aim is to build a business that is commercially stronger, more confident, and less fragile. A business that does not feel compelled to apologize for its price. A business that understands what it is selling, who it is for, and why the offer deserves to be taken seriously. That is the difference. So yes, small businesses undercharge for understandable reasons. But understandable does not mean harmless. And in many cases, underpricing quietly weakens the very business the owner is trying to protect. If this kind of thinking is useful to you, I have built the Small Business Advantage audio field guide for busy small business owners who want practical guidance on pricing, positioning, promotion, and risk. You can explore it at TradShack.com.